Everyone, my name is Niyati Said and thanks for watching Edupedia word videos. My topic for the presentation is Kingdom Fungi. Okay, the organism in Kingdom Fungi include mushrooms, yeast, molds, rust, smust, puffballs and molds. Okay, more than 70,000 species of fungi have been identified till now. The fungi constitute an independent group to that of plants and animals. They live everywhere in air, in water, on land, in soil, and on or in plants and animals. Some fungi are microscopic and others extend for more than 1,000 acres. Mycology is a discipline of biology which deals with the study of fungi. Fungi appears like plants but are closely related to animals. Fungi are not capable of producing their own food, so they get their nourishment from other sources. Fungi are in a wide variety of sizes and forms and have great economic importance. Okay? Now, the general characteristics of true fungi or Mycota. Okay? Fungi are eukaryotic organisms. They are non-vascular organisms. When I say that they are eukaryotic, means that they possess membrane-bound nuclei, okay, and a range of membrane-bound cytoplasmic organelles. For example, mitochondria, vacuoles, endoplasmic reticulum, etc. Most are filamentous in nature. They are non-vascular organisms. They reproduce by the means of spores. Depending on the species and the condition, both sexual and the asexual spores may be produced. They are typically non-motile. Okay. Some are unicellular also, for example, yeast. Protoplasm of hyphae or cell is surrounded by a rigid wall, okay, which is composed primarily of chitin and glucans. Although the walls of some species contain cellulose also, okay. The structure of the cell wall is similar to plant, but chemically the fungi cell wall are composed of chitin, okay. Fungi heterotrophic organisms. They digest the food first and then ingest the food. To accomplish this, the fungi produce exoenzymes. Okay. They reproduce both sexually and asexually. Both sexual and asexual reproduction often result in the production of spores. Their nuclei are typically haploid and hyphal compartments are often multinucleate. That means many nucleus are present. Okay. Although the Eumycota and some yeast possess diploid nuclei, all are achlorophylous. That means they lack chlorophyll pigments and are incapable of photosynthesis. Okay, all are chemoheterotropic. That means chemoorganotropic they are in nature. They utilize pre-existing organic sources of carbon in their environment and the energy from chemical reactions to synthesize the organic compounds they require for growth and energy. Okay. If we talk about their food storage, then fungi store their food as starch. Biosynthesis of chitin occurs in fungi. The nuclei of the fungi is very small. During mitosis, the nuclear envelope is not dissolved. Nutrition in fungi, they are both saprophytics or parasitics or symbionts in nature. Okay. And they possess characteristic range of storage compound, as I have told you, that such as trihalose, glycogen, sugar alcohols and lipids. They may be freely living or may form intimate relationship with other organisms, that is may be free living, parasitic or mutualistic. Okay. Now, the kingdom fungi will study in detail. It is a unique kingdom of heterotrophic organisms. One major difference is that fungal cells have cell wall that contain chitin, unlike the cell wall of plant and some protists which contain cellulose, and unlike the cell walls of bacteria. Fungi are cosmopolitan and they occur in air, water, soil, and on animals and plants. They prefer to grow in warm and humid places. For example, bread, mold, orange rots, mushroom, toadstools, white spots on the mustard leaves are due to parasitic fungus. Okay. Some fungi are the sources of antibiotics, for example penicillin, and some unicellular fungi are used to make bread and beer. So this is the economic importance of kingdom fungi that we will be studying in detail later. Okay. And other fungi causes diseases in plants and animals. For example, wheat rust causing Puccinia. Okay, this is the cartoon that illustrates a child is saying, Dad, we learned how to make bread, beer and wine in a school today. Dad yawns and says, any old yeast can do that. Come back when you cured thousands of diseases and saved countless human lives like our relative penicillin. Okay, so these are the examples: penicillin, yeast and Puccinia. Okay. Except yeast, fungi are filamentous. Their body consists of long, slender, thread-like structures called hyphae. The network of hyphae is known as mycelium. Some hyphae are continuous tubes filled with multinucleated cytoplasm. These are called cenocytic hyphae. Others have septae or the cross walls in hyphae. Okay, and the fungal cell wall is made up of chitin and polysaccharides. As you can see, these are the myceliums, and this particular is a hyphae. So hyphae, two types: septate hyphae and the non-septate hyphae. Okay. And most fungi are saprophytes, as I have told you, which absorb soluble organic matter from dead substrates, and some are parasitics in nature. Some live as symbionts in association with algae as lichens and with the roots of higher plants as mycorrhiza. Okay. Now, if we talk about their reproduction in fungi is both by sexual and asexual means. Sexual state is referred to as teleomorph and the asexual state is referred to as anamorph. Okay, so reproduction is by three: vegetative propagation, asexual reproduction, sexual reproduction. Okay, and then this vegetative propagation is again divided into three: fragmentation, fission and budding. Okay. Now, the both ways of the reproduction will study in detail: asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is by spores, conidia or the sporangia spores or zoospores. Okay, and the sexual reproduction by oospores, ascospores and basidiomcetes. They are produced in distinct structures called fruiting bodies. Okay, as you can see, this is the asexual reproduction and this is sexual reproduction. In this, spore producing structures are formed from mycelium. Okay, and this process goes on. And in the sexual reproduction, what happens is after germination, plasmogamy means fusion of the cytoplasm takes place, and then heterokaryotic stage takes place. Heterokaryotic means different nuclei stage. Okay, and then fusion of nuclei, that process is known as karyogamy, takes place, and then it undergoes meiosis, in which spores are formed. Okay. The sexual cycle involves three steps: plasmogamy, in which the fusion of the protoplasm between two motile or non-motile gametes takes place. Karyogamy, in which fusion of two nuclei takes place. Meiosis, that occurs in zygote resulting in haploid spores. Okay, so this is karyogamy. It goes to the zygote, and zygote undergoes meiosis, and thus it produces spores, and then it produces hyphae, and then it undergoes plasmogamy, means fusion of the protoplasm between two motile or the non-motile gametes. Okay, and then it undergoes fusion of the two nuclei, that is karyogamy. Okay. Now we will study that in sexual reproduction, two haploid hyphae come together and fuse. In some fungi, fusion of two haploid cells immediately form diploid cells, that is 2N. Okay. In other fungi, Ascomycetes and Basidiomcetes, that we will be studying in detail, a dikaryotic stage, that means N plus N. Okay, means two nuclei per cell. Such a condition is called as dikaryon. Later, parental nuclei fuse and the cells become diploid. Fungi form fruiting bodies in which reduction division occurs, leading to the formation of haploid spores. Okay. Although there are many variations in fungal sexual reproduction, all include the following three stages. First, during plasmogamy, that literally means marriage or the union of cytoplasm. Two haploid cells fuse, leading to a dikaryotic stage where two haploid nuclei coexist in a single cell. And during karyogamy, that means nuclear marriage, the haploid nuclei fuse to form a diploid zygote nucleus. Finally, meiosis takes place in the gametogonia, okay, in which gametes of different mating types are generated. At this stage, spores are disseminated into the environment. I hope this cycle is clear to all of you. Now, based on the morphology of mycelium, mode of spore formation and fruiting bodies, fungi are classified into various classes. Now, what are those classes? They are divided into 4 divisions. Okay. Class Phycomycetes, Ascomycetes, Basidiomcetes and Deuteromycetes, that we will be studying in detail. Okay. First is Phycomycetes. So what happens in Phycomycetes is considered as a lower fungi, students. They occur in aquatic habitats and on decaying wood in moist and damp places, or as obligate parasites on plants. The mycelium is aseptate and cenocytic. For example, Mucor, Rhizopus and Albugo. Okay. Asexual reproduction takes place by zoospores, which are motile in nature, or by aplanospores that are non-motile in nature. These spores are endogenously produced in sporangium. Okay. Zygospores are formed by fusion of two gametes. These gametes are similar in morphology. That means they are isogamous in nature, or they may be dissimilar also. That means they are anisogamous. Okay. These are Rhizopus, lower fungi. Okay. And this is Albugo. Now we'll talk about the reproduction in Phycomycetes. Asexual reproduction that takes place by the zoospores or by aplanospores, non-motile. Okay, this is zoospore. And sexual reproduction, zygospores are formed by the fusion of two gametes. These gametes are isogamous or anisogamous or oogamous, as I've told you in the previous slide. Okay. Now, second is Ascomycetes. Ascomycetes is also known as, or you can say commonly known as, sac fungi. The sac fungi, it produces spores in small cup-shaped sacs called asci. Hence, the name is Ascomycota. The mature sac fungi spores are known as ascospores. They are released at the tip of the ascus breaks down. Okay. Yeast is most common one-celled fungi. Yeast produces through asexual process called budding. The budding or the buds form at the site of the parent cell. They pinch off and grow into new yeast cell which is identical to parent cell. Okay. I hope it's clear to all of you. Now, we'll be studying this in detail. As I have told you, this is the same thing. An example of the sac fungi are morels, truffles, cup fungi, and powdery mildews, aspergillus, claviceps, and neurospora. They are the examples of sac fungi. Okay, and then comes Ascomycetes. Asexual reproduction. By conidia, they produce exogenously on the special mycelium called conidiophores. Conidia germinate to produce mycelium. Okay. Sexual reproduction. Ascospores produced endogenously in a sac-like asci. You can see it's a sac-like. Okay. Asci are arranged to form ascoscarps. Examples are aspergillus, claviceps, and neurospora. Neurospora is used in biochemical and genetic work. This is aspergillus and this is claviceps and neurospora. Okay. And then comes the third division, that is Basidiomycota, that is club fungi. Okay. Basidiomycota includes mushrooms, puffballs, smuts, rust, and toadstools. The spores are borne on a club-shaped spore case called basidium. Okay. In mushrooms, the basidia are lined at the gills under the cap. Huge number of spores are produced by the club fungi. Okay. In fact, an average-sized mushroom produces over 16 billion spores. These spores rarely germinate or mature. For example, agaricus or staligo and Puccinia. Okay. This is the same thing that I have told you just now. And then comes a talk about their sex organs. Then sex organs are absent in Basidiomycetes fungi, but plasmogamy occurs by fusion of two vegetative or somatic cells of different stains or genotype. The resultant structure is dikaryotic. It gives rise to basidium. Karyogamy and meiosis occurs in basidium, producing 4 basidiospores exogenously. Okay, basidia are arranged in fruiting bodies called basidiocarps. For example, agaricus, which is known as mushrooms, staligo, that is commonly known as smut. Okay, and the rust fungus, of course. And then comes the fourth subdivision, which is known as Deuteromycetes. Deuteromycetes, they are known as imperfect fungi. These organisms are known as imperfect fungi because they lack sexual reproduction. They reproduce by asexual spores known as conidia. Most of the fungi causes diseases to humans like ringworm, athlete's foot. Okay, economically important imperfect fungi are penicillium and aspergillus. Okay. When perfect or sexual stages were discovered, they were often moved to Ascomycetes and Basidiomycetes. It is also possible that asexual and the vegetative stage have been given one name, okay, and placed under Deuteromycetes, and the asexual stage another. When the linkages were established, the fungi were corrected, identified, and moved out of Deuteromycetes. Okay. Deuteromycetes reproduce by asexual spores, that is Conidia. Mycelium is septate, unbranched. Some are saprophytes or macrophytes in nature. Majority are decomposers of litter and help in mineral cycling. Okay. Now come to the economic importance of the fungi. If we talk about the economic importance, then fungi are important in a variety of ways. First is recycling. Fungi together with bacteria, the fungi form a major role in recycling the dead and the decayed matter. You can say that fungi together with the bacteria, that means in the conjugation with the bacteria, are responsible for most of the recycling, which returns dead material to the soil in a form in which it can be reused. Without fungi, these recycling activities would be seriously reduced. We would effectively be lost under piles many meters thick of dead plants and animal remains. So now think, just imagine how important are the fungi, okay? And the second economical importance is food. Many mushrooms are used as food by humans. Mushroom species are edible and are cultured in many parts of the world for sale. Okay, they are often used for agriculture and the plant growth. Fungi are vitally important for the good growth of most plants, including crops, through the development of mycorrhizal associations. As plants are at the base of most food chain, if their growth was limited, all animal life, including humans, would be seriously reduced through starvation. Okay, and if we talk about the food spoilers, then fungi play a major role in recycling organic material. Fungal damage is responsible for the losses of stored food, usually when the food contains moisture. Okay, and plant and animal diseases, if we talk about, then many fungi live on and in plants and animal causing diseases. They also coexist harmoniously with plants and animals. As a food, then fungi are also important directly as food for humans. Many mushrooms are edible and different species are cultivated for sale worldwide. While this is a very small proportion of the actual food that we eat, fungi are also widely used in the production of many foods and drinks. These includes cheese, beer, wine, bread, and some cakes and some soya bean products. While a great many wild fungi are edible, it can be difficult to correctly identify them. Some mushrooms are deadly if they are eaten. Fungi with names such as destroying angel and the dead cap gives us some indication that it would not be a terribly good idea to eat them. Okay, students? In some countries, collecting wild mushrooms to eat is a popular activity. It is always wise to be totally sure that you have collected is edible and not a poisonous look-alike. Okay, they are also used as a biocontrol agents. Fungi such as Chinese caterpillar fungus, which parasites insects, can be extremely useful for controlling insect pest of crops. The spores of the fungi are sprayed on the crop pest, okay, to prevent it from the parasitic insects. Okay, the spores of the fungi are sprayed on the crop pest for this very reason. And fungi have been used to control Colorado potato beetles, which can devastate, or you can say deteriorate or destroy potato crops. Spittle bugs, leaf hoppers, and citrus rust mites are some of the other insect pests which have been controlled using fungi. Now you can imagine how important fungi is for us. This method is generally cheaper and less damaging to the environment than using chemical pesticides. So this comes to an end about the kingdom fungi. In the next section of my presentation, we'll be studying about the kingdom Plantae. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching Edupedia World videos. Thank you.